Man, we got a full squad today on the live stream. Let's fucking go. If you guys aren't watching, we got Bongo and A6 and Adam on the live stream today. It is pinned to the top if you prefer to watch, but you can always listen as well. I'm excited for this conversation. I think it's long overdue, as I got to meet Bongo in person once or twice now already at all these different events that we're all traveling to. First time I get to meet A6, so pleasure to meet you, brother.
Pleasure to meet you. I think we got to quickly cross paths in New York, if I remember correctly. It might have been at Pub Key, but you know, Pub Key was one of those
a little bit hectic.
One of those hazy stops.
Yeah, it was just a sea of middle-aged white men at Pub Key every time I go in there.
Yeah, dude, that last time was great though, because that's when we caught that first Pups Pump. That was a vibe in there. It was great.
Yeah, man. Well, appreciate you guys for doing this. It's going to be quite exciting, and also for Chris for setting it up, man. How you feeling today?
Doing good.
Yo, good morning. Yeah, this is you guys over there.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm over here on leading the Twitter Spaces, but good to connect. Definitely excited about this one. Really, just kind of interested in your guys' approach to building on, you know, the Ordinals ecosystem, and you guys just offer a totally different kind of suite of products, and it's really kind of crazy to see the infrastructure that you guys are putting out. So pretty pumped to get into it. I feel like it's under the radar, so I think a lot of people are looking forward to this and will find it super useful.
Yes.
Before we get into it, can we get an update, Bongo, on the fight? I need to know fight status. I need to know what's happening. I need to know why my proposal for you to fight Nick Carter fell through, because I thought that would have been awesome. What happened with that, dude?
they had a bunch of excuses, the contract, the city, this and that, blah blah blah. They didn't want to make it happen,
Oh,
but it looks like we might have an opponent here. His name is Phil something, and he fought before in Karate Combat. Phil Russell is his name. He seems to be kind of like a mid-fluencer, way below my level, but it is what it is. He's 5'11", 175 pound. I'm 5'3", 160 or something. But he seems to be the only guy willing to fight me.
Wow.
July 25, Karate Combat. We'll see if we can make it happen. And after that, probably the Hashlings after party. So should be fun.
wait, is that going to be? Where's that going to be?
Nashville.
Oh, it is going to be in Nashville. Oh, cool, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool. Wow, excited for that, man. Excited for that. Well, glad it's finally getting done. But why didn't that happen with Nick? People were saying it was Texas and the laws in Texas make it really like challenging to actually like set it up fast and stuff. Is that what happened? Or your view is Nick just wanted out? He just wanted out.
Yeah, like I'm hesitating to fight this guy because he has 2,000 followers. He's probably hesitating fighting me because I only have 15K. So it's just, if it's not for the cloud, people don't want to do it.
Yeah, interesting.
Tell us what's your fighting background. Are you just a street fighter? You're like Kimbo Slice, or you actually got some professional experience?
Yeah, I used to fight with a knife and bottles in the Dominican Republic. That's my background. If anyone is interested, no, but I did a few years of Taekwondo, so I have a few decent kicks, and I've been doing kickboxing for a few months now. So hopefully that's enough to get it done.
All right. Well, I'll be excited. I was hoping for the little Street Fighter mentality because those are always the scrappy ones, especially.
Yeah, I seen you, and I'll love to fight you. Honestly, you're a great easy fight. I'll rather get an easy fight. You too. You can have it. Any of you can have.
If you want an easy fight, you fight me. That's like, hey, who wants the easiest fight in the world? That's McBride over here.
Yeah, but you're a little older. I wouldn't. Yeah,
dude. Some of these guys getting in these rings, I'm just like, man. Actually, the best one so far has been BitBoy. I got to give it to BitBoy, man. He really brought the heat. That was exciting. Like that was the best one I've ever seen. So
he's got that dog in him, man, sticking his tongue out mid-fight, like asking for more. That was good entertainment.
Crazy, so I hope you bring that energy, man. That BitBoy energy.
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna do before I get into the ring. I'm gonna do whatever he was doing.
SNR, you got a question before we get into the conversation? So you have your hand up.
More of a little comment for Bongo. I was just gonna suggest a Mexican opponent and have Trump host it because that's gonna bring in numbers right there.
You go make it political.
Oh, it's hard to find fighters, bro. I mean, look, how long has this been? This has been multiple months now, right? Where it's like canceled, then on again, then off again. I think they might have a little bit of a hard time finding fighters.
I was trying to make it happen with Dancing Eddie, but he's a massive chicken. I mean, these ETH people, you can't.
What happened with that anyway? What happened with him?
He said that he's an only child and brain damage, and his face is ugly enough. So it's just capitulation.
So he literally just bagged out. He just canceled it. Like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, he was even here in Chicago the other day, and I invited him to the gym for some light sparring. He didn't want the smoke.
Wow, he didn't want the heat.
Nope.
Damn. I mean, I saw that one coming a mile away though. They saw Dancing Eddie do his little like dance around the heavy bag, and I'm like, oh man, this kid's in trouble. He's in trouble, man. Damn, that would have been fun.
That's that.
Cool. Well, let's get into it then, fellas. Let's start off with A6, just because we've had a little bit of a more brief conversation. Tell us a little bit about your background, man, before we do dive into Hashlings, and what brought you into the crypto space.
Yeah. Before I was actually mining, I was in the health and wellness industry, and happened to go to my first Bitcoin conference. And when I was there, this was like summer 2021, or maybe probably like May 2021-ish. So if y'all remember, that's timing when the market was pretty frothy, last bull run. And while I was there, I just happened to stumble upon someone I went to school with, 12, actually, shit, now it would have been 14 years ago, 15 years ago. And we went to entrepreneurship school together. And so I was there and, just more normie retail. I was living a completely different life at the time and just liked Bitcoin. And when I saw him, he was like, dude, do you want to see how Bitcoin's made? And so essentially what happened is at the time of the China ban, my buddy and some of his friends got an opportunity to get just big transformer and a steel mill from the 1960s. And they had really cheap energy, and the China ban happened simultaneously, and they got lucky with a literal Chinese whale coming over and saying, I will send every rig and I will pay for all the infrastructure. If you build it, I will take it all. And so these guys didn't have an experience on the operational side, whereas I've built teams, led them across multiple industries. I know how to work within warehouses and so on and so forth. And so I was like, yeah, I would love to see how to do it. And so I pull up, and as soon as I get there, like literally the morning of, there's tractor trailer after tractor trailer of ASICs, floor to ceiling, wall to wall, front to back, full tractor trailers packed. I'm talking like pallets. And at the time, because the network difficulty went down so low because China was the biggest miner in the world, these were making $45 a day per rig, and we're pulling thousands off at a time. And I'm just like, called my other business partners, and I was like, so I'm a Bitcoin miner now. You guys, good luck with everything. We'll work the equity deal. I'm staying here, and actually did stay there, and just fell in love with it. And industrial scale mining at that size, because we were the biggest in the Midwest of our type. We got to 28 megawatts, over 10,000 ASICs. We were big dogs. We were pushing an exahash there on site. And yeah, just from that whole process and seeing this at scale and seeing what proof of work is in person, which you actually get to feel the Bitcoin. Like when these things are humming, they produce heat as a byproduct. And if they are producing heat, they're printing Bitcoin. And so I just found that absolutely fascinating, having no background in it, going there, seeing all these empty racks, this very empty warehouse. And then we were able, over the course of 3 months, to go from, nothing to 28 megawatts and make ungodly amounts of Bitcoin during that time. So, it was just one of those things that right place, right time, literally, and then just never let go from that point. So it's just drinking from a fire hose and having that once in a lifetime opportunity with that band.
So when you guys were industrial, or when you were mining through this industrial lens, did you guys mine any other cryptocurrencies back then? Did you look into Doge or Litecoin or Ethereum even back then?
I think we had 5 ETH miners out of over 10,000. I think we had 5 and maybe 1 Doge. And then, I was there when ETH switched from proof of work to proof of stake. So those ETH rigs just became really expensive paperweights. So yeah, we were pretty much, Bitcoin maxis and with the good people we were working with too. So we were pretty much, just all there. I think even the ETH miners that we did have were just a buddy of mine who'd like to tinker around and play with them. So
on that scale of mining, what would you say is the, I guess, most complicated aspect of it? And maybe something that most people don't really consider. Generally, when you think of industrial mining, you think of just the power consumption, right? That's from the greenhouse kind of movement, or the green energy movement, I should say. And I know a lot of these miners have moved to Texas because of how cheap the power is. But is there anything? Is that the biggest thing to look out for? Is just finding what's the best, what jurisdiction you could find the best rate for, or is there some other component to this?
No, finding cheap energy is congratulations. You're 0.5% of the way there. You got to have cheap energy is the foundation. That means, okay, there's a game that we could play here. Let's go ahead and start building. So once you choose the technology that you're running, which we run both immersion and air mining with Hashlings, we were, I would say, the biggest, and we've experienced this, we're experiencing this right now. taken a few things for granted from like when I was cutting my chops and so on and so forth. And I was the director of operations. So I got to actually oversee everything and like just take pride in that and our uptime and how much production we had. Right now, we're reliant on host facilities, like hosting partners of ours. And one of them is new to the hosting game. So they're taking some lumps, operational lumps as we go. And there's so many components, whether it's electrical and having issues there. We've had everything from already, boxes blowing up, breakers blowing up, finding shorts between the substation where we're at.
I can't even imagine connecting 10,000 machines. Like that just must be a complete nightmare. Like just complete.
Yeah, it's when you're doing these, I mean, you got to like put the racks up, then you got to run every Ethernet cable for 10,000 of these, and they're all different distances from the network switch. And like there's little things that you wouldn't like think that like you got to be on your A game at every single point of this in order to like actually pull it off. And one thing that like you think you would just plug and play and these things are ready to rock. But one of the craziest parts is if you're doing air mining, is stuff that you would never consider, like pressure differential. You're taking in cold air on one side, producing heat on the other. All that heat continues to expand when it's put into a container like that. And so you got to make sure that you are having perfect equilibrium throughout your pressure in your building to make sure that you're properly expelling it, because if you have too much pressure in your hot aisle, that will actually get pushed back into your machines, and that will start messing the fans up, frying hash boards, and so on and so forth. So it's like you guys from the roof into like your individual pods into everything. There's just layers and layers of complexity at scale that make it significantly more difficult than if you just have one, two rigs like hobby mining at home. Scale presents all kinds of different issues. Heat kills hash rate. Heat kills your Bitcoin production. So fighting the heat is what you're doing 24/7 to make sure that these little princesses stay online, because they are just finicky Chinese crap boxes, to be completely honest with you.
When you worked out that deal with like the Chinese huge mining company, the power producer, like, is that where your like super skill comes in? Like where you're just like negotiating this deal? Is that like, I'd assume that's a real, like, that's where kind of the rubber hits the road other than operational. Like that's the part where it's like being able to put the pieces together.
I came in like just as the deal was closed. It was literally, I think from the time the guy contacted us and heard about our site to the time it was closed, it was within a week. Like he was that serious. And he goes, I'm going to front you $3 million to start building, and I'm going to start sending truckloads right now. Wow. And he was not playing around. He was with a group like, I know one of the guys he had over 200K Bitcoin. So it's a pretty serious mining group to be holders of that size. And so, yeah, it was wild, man, just at that scale. And, it was brand new. The industry was new then. Like for the longest time, it's been the power to the plebes, people doing this in a decentralized manner, running at home, maybe having little containers at sites and so on and so forth, and renting space at an office somewhere. But I'd say, around 5-6 years ago ish, is when this started to like really concentrate. And so you're starting to see it's a huge barrier to entry. You're talking about purchasing tons and tons of equipment and energy contracts and so on and so forth. And the bigger you get, the more sophisticated it gets. And then when you get really big, you realize that all Bitcoin mining is a leverage play on energy. And it's just an energy play, because you're literally just purchasing the lowest cost energy that you can and converting that into as much Bitcoin as you can.
And so is this where Hashlings comes in? Because as you said, about 5-6 years ago, right, this is when it became pretty industrialized. And I've been in this space for a while, so I kind of watched this all happen as well. And when I got into in 2017, right, you can mine pretty much any token that popped up, from your computer or just a little ASIC at the time. And then now you need to have millions of startup costs. So is the idea then that Hashlings allows, retail people to kind of get into the mining space and not without the requirement of having to put up, 7-8 figures to even get started?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Is like bringing the power back to the plebe, really, like the OG days, right? There's a lot of people who have had interested in it. because, or are interested in it, because it's the ultimate DCA tool in the Bitcoin. As long as you're getting the proper energy rate, as long as you're running the right latest generation rigs, you know, for the next 4 years, everyone's going to be buying Bitcoin wherever they're going to be buying it at, 150K, maybe 200K if we're lucky, especially during the next 12, 18 months. Our cost basis is 57K. So like no matter where we're going, and then pre-halving it was 32K, right? And so there's ebbs and flows as to when profitability is. Right now it's a bit compressed and everything, but we had like a huge, I think it was just over a 10% jump in production or last week. We almost, I think how much Bitcoin did we make last week, Bongo? 0.87, 0.8?
Yeah, 0.87.
0.87. That's what we mined last week. We're on pay, like we're going to be hitting a Bitcoin a week here in the next few weeks as we continue to expand. So it's just been lowering that barrier to entry, not making people jump through hoops. Like the biggest thing is like my holders never have to worry about pressure differential. They don't have to worry about, you know, like energy contracts and curtailment and so on and so forth. We're automating a lot of that through the software that we're building. We're even doing things where we want to be the best mining option for retail users. So if you look at like normal Web 2 plays, we're even coming in at a lower cost basis for them, or lower energy cost, because we're sub 7 cents. And then on top of that, our software and everything, where if there are any curtailment events, which just means, like you mentioned, Texas, when it gets hot as hell, what they do on ERCOT, because Texas is very unique, that they have their own energy market that is completely isolated from the rest of the United States. Texas only produces and serves within Texas. It's pretty crazy. So all of their energy that they produce is for them. They don't have the luxury of like really importing it the way that other places do. So what happens is times like this, if it's getting about 100 degrees outside in the summer day, the grid, the power producers will call miners such as ourselves and say, we need you to go ahead and power down, right? And so for a host facility or something like that, they're obligated to a certain amount of time. And they'll take that power from the mine and then they'll distribute that to everyone so they can fire up their AC and not just get all wrecked because everyone's turning on their AC at the same time, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock every single day as they get home. And so that puts
like an automated process, or you said call? I mean, is that like an automated, like
it's
an audit? They just send you a ping or something and then you just power them down basically?
Yeah, so like we ran this little device called a Voltlet. I'm not sure what like our host facilities are running, but it's going to be something very similar to where you can literally just capture that signal from the grid once energy prices hit a certain rate. And then what that'll do is just power down the mine. And that allows them to maintain a certain energy price and so on and so forth. So all of that stuff that like is just not sexy and fun and everything, like we get to like, don't worry about any of that. We're just going to go ahead and make sure that you get your Bitcoin, and we can talk and be educated about it and like why proof of work matters and what mining looks like and so on and so forth. There's so many different elements and like levels to it. And like, I love the education component, but mining is like day to day, and having to worry about it is a massive headache that no one should undertake. Like if you're becoming a miner, you at scale, you got to be a sicko because this job actually sucks. But it's nice once you get the proper setup.
So then does Bongo come in here as the kind of the ordinal component to this? He's the one that's managing all of the traders, figuring out the incentive structures and the tokenomics. Is this where this partnership comes in?
Bongo's kind of like right-hand man in everything, to be honest. Like there's been a lot, like we do deployments ourselves. So Bongo's and I we'll drive 12 hours out to our place in Nebraska and throw, however many hundreds of rigs we got to. Everything from that to socials to helping with marketing plans and just development of stuff. There's so many complicated elements of mining that all come in that like he's been like working with me under my wing to like learn all of that and to synthesize it. And then as we're building, he's able to like start stepping in and seeing how we can apply like this mining stuff in new ways, which is pretty cool.
I do my best for a living, Jake.
Go ahead, Bongo. Sorry, man.
No, I was just kidding, saying that I do my best for a living. That's
Why don't you guys? Because I'm sure there are people in the audience who don't even know what a hashling is and what it is. Do you want to give like the layout for what the project is?
Yeah. So Hashlings at a very high level, we're really just a Bitcoin club. I think like not just a mining club. We're just like, we like the alpha, we like mining, all things Bitcoin. It's really a Bitcoin lifestyle club, if you will, because most people I think are pretty rabid. And we're interesting in the fact that I'd say the average age of like our hashling holder is actually probably like 36, 37, something like that. We got graybeards in our community, which is really cool. But anyway, the hashlings themselves, really sick PFP art. Our artist is Zod. That's 1920 by 1920 art that you're seeing right there. We put 20 megabytes of traits on chain. That is 5 full blocks of data. It's costed us over, I think, 4 Bitcoin now in art and traits that we put online. And those guys there act as your pass. Imagine if you're a member at Soho House, right? These guys just act as your pass to the mining club. So once you have that, if you elect to start mining, you can actually see that we have a collection called Hashling Gear. That's where all of our hash rate horsepower lives. And so you basically pair a hashling, put a pick in his hand, and once you do that, you're mining. And so we have created all kinds of different picks to meet people where they are. So whether, your budget is 0.01 Bitcoin, or, we got some whales that have spent well over 2 Bitcoin, actually probably 3-4 Bitcoin. We have different products to meet them where they are. So we're just trying to empower people in this space to be educated about proof of work, what mining is, why it makes Bitcoin so special. But on top of that, you can have something stable in your bag that doesn't need to maybe have a 500x component to it and a high risk of going to zero. Having some of these in your wallet to just get you paid out in Bitcoin on a weekly basis is not a bad play. And, like mining could be 5x, 6x because the equipment appreciates with the price of Bitcoin itself. And you can just use those and produce Bitcoin the whole way up. And there's a flipping play on the equipment itself, or you can just run it until the wheels fall off over 4 years. No matter what, it's just a great way to have just DCA into Bitcoin. And the interesting part is we're in a space where everyone's looking for the 1000x. So, a couple X, maybe a slow, steady couple X is not the sexiest thing in the world to some people, but those who get it. And it's been amazing because basically what you see here is people will come in, they'll buy 1 or 2, and then next thing you know, they buy 5 more. And then they get like 5 more. And it's crazy. We've seen people go from like 7 to 200. We've seen people go from like 1 to 7. They just keep getting more and more, which is really cool to see. So we've been focusing. We launched our art in January, or inscribed our art. We started mining, I think it was February 23rd. So it's been March, April, May, June. So we're going on 4 months now of actual mining. We haven't been able to focus on the ordinal side yet because we've been building all of the mining software. We're a very real infrastructure company, so that's where our focus has been. And now we're able to finally start doing things like delivering a legit, robust website, being able to spin up marketing assets, start to do Twitter Spaces, and so on and so forth, right? But until we were able to build the software and get to a place where we're able to scale, we had to like pump the brakes on the ordinal side because we didn't want to shoot ourselves in the foot with a self-induced FUD event. For instance, like we had, I think it was a 4-week delay on our last mining deployment. And if we had already gone out full scale and just collected money on that, like that could have really, really hurt us as a project. So now that we're getting all of our ducks in a row and like we're chopping and good in the real world, we could start building all the fun digital stuff, which we're really excited about.
How do you look at like the and I think I talked with Bongo a little bit about this, just the legal aspects, like in the US it's so ridiculous, just somebody earning in Bitcoin or earning on a part of the rig. How do you look at that from security perspective and staying out of trouble yourselves? How do you guys kind of view that?
Yeah, so we've spent an ungodly amount of money on legal, and we're very happy with legal, and we're proudly here in the United States. That's one of the biggest things I wanted to show is these projects are sustainable, because like one of the problems we set out to solve was the sustainability of projects. but also that you could be a successful crypto company here in the United States. Now, it's been a pain in the ass with some things. Stripe, for instance, just cut us off for payment systems for collecting power payments for the electricity, for instance. So we've built our own like custom build for like Solana USD payments and so on and so forth. But it's been difficult, but the way our legal structure is, and like the community actually owns that hash rate that's being produced, and so it's like a community owned Bitcoin mine. Where it's really just like the Soho model. So you have both your access to the club, your membership, Costco membership, Soho membership, and then you actually get your rig that you have control over that you could sell at your leisure, or just mine into perpetuity. And so, as far as legal structure goes here in the United States, all you could do is like your absolute best and just go to as much legal counsel as possible until they say, I can back this, like we're good here. And we feel really good about it. And we probably legit. No, we did. We went through 4 legal teams until we felt really good and felt like we could go scale and ramp. And that we weren't going to be at risk of anything of that sort. Or as close to.
It's a nightmare, and I actually congratulate you on trying to push forward, doing something right, because it's like they make it's so convoluted and difficult. Unfortunately, and it doesn't really need to be, right? As long as there's transparency to what you guys are doing. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
So essentially, this is just like an RWA company, right? It's a ordinal that's backed by hash power.
And RWA.
Real world
asset sector on the smart contract platforms, right? So like we've had on the show Courtyard, who is doing Pokemon cards. You even now have BlackRock that's tokenizing monetary funds, which is essentially called an RWA. I mean, technically stable coins are RWAs, right? It's just a token that's backed by something that exists in the real world. Whereas here you're backing it by hash power and mining rigs, which might be one of the first or some of the earliest here in the ordinal space. A question here from just some of the logistics. So I have here pulled up on the live stream, hashing number 2340. This was the rare. I guess I'm assuming this is like one of the rare ones. It's a 1 of 1. It's listed at 0.45 BTC. Does the rarity have an impact on the amount of Bitcoin that's mined or that's distributed to you? Or this is just purely an aesthetic kind of listing for the traits and rarities?
Purely aesthetic.
Okay.
Purely aesthetic. Yeah. We wanted to do like one of the things we wanted to do is like we could have done the traditional utility route where everyone could have just gotten a picture of, I don't know, a rig, for instance. But we wanted to like we came from, our origins are Solana. Like I'm DGod guy from the jump before Bitcoin really had ordinals or anything else. And so coming over, we saw that a lot of the art was like very basic and very like low effort on a lot of the things. And we wanted to pay respect to like the projects that came before us and bring a traditional NFT-esque piece of art to Bitcoin. If you look at the Hashlings, I can guarantee you're not going to see anything else like it on Bitcoin. It's cost prohibitive. And it's also, there's just a lot of limitations that Bitcoin has to make, this art special and unique in the way that it is. So for us, we went this route in particular and took our time because we really wanted to just put something special out there that we haven't seen before as far as like art goes. And 19 by 20 by 19 by 20 is a flex on Bitcoin. And so we got these big files and 5 megabytes of traits. That's almost an hour straight of the Bitcoin network that we had to put through our traits, like just solely us. So it's been a journey, like to just learn how it all works and to push this forward. But we want to innovate at every level. We're innovating on the mining level. We want to be innovators like with the art and like some of the stuff that we're dropping, the software that we're purchasing. The Pepes, the Lord Pepes are not it. Those that go look at any of the other Lords, by the way. So we did, one of the things we did as far as a creative thing is like we have basically like whale tiers. Lords are like if you own 7 or above. And so we have 250 Lords, and we created a character creator mint page. So we have a community generated art projects. So our holders actually built these and put these together, which is pretty cool. But if you take off maybe just the Pepe Lord part, and then you could just like look at all the lords, you can kind of see like how expansive it really is there. So that was kind of cool to see. Like there's a few different things happening on Bitcoin that's kind of cool. I think like we've done the traditional algorithmic generated collection. This is a community generated collection, and I'm starting to get very interested in DMT, which is essentially just Bitcoin generated collection. So we want to be at the forefront of all of these cool technologies as they're coming to be and everything. So just really excited about like what we could do for some of the next phases of our roadmap.
You look at the Hashlings chart, and it looks like there was kind of a big purchase in the beginning, and it's been relatively flat over the last few months in terms of acquisition. What do you think causes the stability? Is it just like the I guess you could say the routine payment, or it's very stable in terms of what the miner payouts are? And how does the price impact of the Hashlings? Do you think the Hashlings will increase in value as the payouts increase? And how does the community kind of value that?
If you like the communities, they know, like they trust at this point, because we have a very, very, very strong community. Look at the chart. If you look, like that is like, I mean, it's just maybe the longest accumulation phase ever.
It's like 4 or 5 months going on now. Yeah, it looks like
it's absolutely crazy, right? So the reason why the price is what it is because I haven't done any of the like Web3 like marketing push. If you look, we don't have a website. We haven't we've completely cleared out the Twitter page. I don't even think there's a banner right now. We've basically up to this point been pushing pause on any like pushed growth, so that way we could properly execute on the mining layer and delivering that Bitcoin and making sure that we weren't overpaying, underpaying, collecting the proper amount of energy payments for the month, and so on and so forth. Now we're at that phase where we got the new stuff. Twitter assets are going to be rolled out, all that stuff, marketing campaigns, so on and so forth. That's what's in the works right now, which we're going to be rolling out here probably within a month or so.
How do you do the payments? How do they work?
Payments go
wallet and you distribute that way, or how does it work?
Yeah, so basically what happens is our mining pool is Luxor. We get our we have gone from 7 like just once a day payments to once a week payments, because it saved us like 8% overall, I think it was, on transaction fees. And so now what we do is Monday nights, Luxor gives us our once a week payout, and then we have our devs have a program in which they just distribute it to everyone appropriately.
Interesting. So is it an airdrop or a claim portal that
airdrop? They don't have to do anything. We want automated everything. Like once you sign up and you're mining, you don't have to do shit. Like that's our biggest thing, is like just come hang out, vibe, learn. Let's talk Bitcoin. You know, we've been having a lot of fun with like runes and doing some degenning as a community and whatnot, and memeing. So it's been a good time.
How does it work as far as like, okay, you have costs associated with it, right? Like everything from facility to staff and all that sort of stuff. How does that work as far as, okay, you get a Bitcoin, right? But then you have expenses, right? How does it work as far as like, figuring that aspect out?
Yeah, so that's built into what's called the hosting rate. That's basically like your all-in energy cost. So in that energy cost is also any labor for the guys on the ground and the guys running it and so on and so forth. And so what we have at our place is all we do is essentially like our most common pick is $149 a month for their energy cost. And again, you're just converting energy into Bitcoin. That's all it is. So I think like pre-halving numbers were something like for every 150 you were making like $420 in Bitcoin. Like it was one hell of a trade. Now it's just above break even. I mean, maybe making $10-20 in Bitcoin a month or something like that at this point. I don't know. I'm just shooting out numbers. I haven't checked in the last day or two. But yeah, so essentially they just pay their 150, which we have set up on the Solana USD contract within our mining dashboard, and then they're set for the month. You can, or however long. Some people have paid for the next half year. Some people have paid for the next year, and you can re-up as you see fit. But as long as that contract's humming, your rig's pointed to your wallet and you're getting your payout. And we're checking the blockchain every 10 minutes. We're scanning every Hashling wallet constantly, because if you happen to sell your picks, for instance, or your mining rigs, your subscription's immediately cut off. We don't take any more money. You're square there. If you purchase more, it automatically revs up and you get that hash rate instantly. So like we've automated everything for holders top to bottom to adjust to like, do you want to mine more? Do you want to mine less? Do you want to take a pause on mining? Whatever the case may be, you can make it your own mining experience.
Interesting. So I got one more question, then I'm gonna let Chris go here. Have you guys talked with any of the, since you're an American company, have you talked with any of the publicly traded mining companies, CleanSpark, Marathon? I forget what the third one is. Have you approached them with this idea, or do you have any insight or information towards what their thoughts are with this combination of ordinals and mining?
I know they find it really interesting. Most guys in the mining world are energy guys, actually. Like it's energy players in suits. It's not traditional Bitcoiners. Now you get like when you're especially when you're talking publicly traded miners, some of those dudes could give a shit less about Bitcoin, like to be completely honest. Like they're just energy guys. And the biggest ones like Riot, they actually have a huge like energy hedge play. Like they're just as much like hedging like energy markets because they're pulling so much as they are mining Bitcoin. So I know that they're interested in it. I know guys from CleanSpark and Riot and so on and so forth, just from my pre-ordinal life when I was doing my mining, because North American mining is so small. I know most people to know in North America know them. They find it really interesting, but they have no idea how to wrap their mind around it. Like I even was like, guys, do y'all know what like the mempool is? In a recent conversation with one of the world's best miners, actually, like very, very notable miner, if you bring up his name in the space. And he was like, no, never looked at it. Why does that matter? And I was like, all right, so there's these things called transaction fees, and you're going to start to know why they matter because of these things called ordinals.
Yeah, it's funny because Charlie Spears, who's a big leader in the ordinals community, his family's I believe Oklahoma Energy Company, and so he provided me a lot of insight there. Secondly, when it comes to the publicly traded companies, I live out in Las Vegas, and the headquarters for CleanSpark's out here in Vegas. And I had on Zach, who's the CEO and founder. I had him on my show 2 years ago before ordinals even existed, and we were talking about NFT-backed miners at the time. So it feels like eventually it'll make its way to the publicly traded companies. Again, though, those are like the largest corporations, so they move the slowest. So you guys are literally the nimble ones on the ground floor who essentially get to pave the way or set the blueprint or the template for maybe what gets adopted or some sort of partnership.
We're intentionally building our software to be white labeled. So as soon as one of the big dogs want to come in and learn about ordinals, hey, we got exactly what you need. You don't even have to go build your own software stack. So I anticipate it coming. I can tell you, I saw Bitmain. Maybe it was January this year. Maybe it was Q4 last year. But Bitmain, which is the largest producer of ASICs or miners, they tried dropping I think it was like a $75,000 ordinal backed by the appropriate amount of hash rate with it. I think it flopped on its face. Never saw anything after it was on its homepage for a week. So never heard anything or saw anything after that. But I think that you will definitely see people, miners starting to come over here, especially just because like just the amount of people that have interest in it that are on the retail side. Like there's a tremendous amount of power in strong communities. Everyone doesn't need to have millions of dollars to make a big impact.
Yeah, even Atomicals try to mimic mining with their kind of meta mining protocol. So there's a large interest in retail, especially since everyone's priced out. You have to go through these different type of avenues. It'll be interesting to see how it evolves. Chris, what are your thoughts on the conversation?
Man, it's so good to see you guys firing on all cylinders, and it's super obvious that you put a ton of work into this. Just for starters, I think this idea and kind of this execution of kind of passive mining pools and passive mining infrastructure has been around for many years. What was kind of the thing that they were missing on? Why were you guys able to make it work, but after so many attempts previous to you, were they just not able to deliver? Was it more of like an execution or operational struggles, or why do you think that you guys were able to make it work, but so many people before you, so many groups were not really able to make it happen?
I've never seen a legit miner try to start a mining project. that was why I decided to, like, instead of, because my life would have been significantly easier to just go open another mine and never mess with ordinals again. But I saw that, like, the guys that were trying to do it were grifters, and I saw through all their mining bullshit. When I saw their claims and what they said they were going to do, that's when I was like, you know what, this seems like a fun project. And also, I don't want these guys, I know where these guys are headed. Like, they're going to go ruin everyone that's interested in it. And so when I saw just some of these guys who, you know, anyone could go take a picture of a couple rigs in the trunk of your car and say you're going to go start a mining project. But it just doesn't go down like that. And they've all failed, all of them. I can't even tell you, when I was coming on and I was telling them, like, early spaces from a year ago, and these other projects coming in saying they were miners and that, like, making this claim, that claim, and why we weren't going to make it. I was like, I literally know the CEO, like, on a first name basis of every big dog in the United States. I can call Bitmain and be right at the head of the United States sales, get the absolute lowest cost pricing. I've procured tens of megawatts of power. Like, this is a big dog's game, like, especially when you're talking energy markets. These are old conservative dudes that you usually have to talk to and convince. They move extremely slow. People, we're already seeing it. And here's the best part is I was told we are too expensive because we're here in the United States. So everyone wanted to go to Uruguay, Paraguay, South America, go chase the lowest cost energy that they absolutely could, which sounds good on paper, but in practice, it never works. Last cycle was Kazakhstan and Russia. Guess what? All their equipment gone. Now what's happening down there in South America, you're seeing those governments go literally just steamroll these sites, and just, they're like, we're Bitcoin miners now. You Americans coming down here, you think that y'all are going to take our energy and turn all that? No, don't come back, because we're here with guns. So there's serious risks when you're talking about millions and millions of dollars that you're going to put in some of these countries that don't have stability. Like, to know that we're not going to go get raided by, like, a local group of goons that are just going to take over and, like, literally never allow us to come back. You know, we're here for the long term, and we're setting up for the cycle for 2028, the cycle for 2032. Like, we have all of our foundations laid now, and all the software and everything to be here, and to be here cycle after cycle. All these
I thought it was hilarious when I saw people setting up Bitcoin rigs in Venezuela. I'm like, bro, you know how this story ends, right? You know every time, bro. Every time. I mean, you know, I guess the thought of, like, free electricity is too powerful to, like, you know, people just you get caught up in it, you know.
And they do it. Just watch as the cycle goes on. As Bitcoin goes up more and more, and, like, these other governments start to catch on again, they're immediately going to start jacking them. Like, that's just, and you're SOL. Like, if you sent your equipment there or playing part in that project, it's just total loss. There's nothing you can do.
Brutal.
All right, VP.
That's funny.
Okay.
Yeah. There's just no way to even be discreet about the energy consumption and the heat production that's going on in those areas. It's funny that Bitcoiners are so serious about single points of failure, then some of the biggest infrastructures are some of the biggest single points of failure. In terms of kind of like expansion and kind of maybe equipment overturn and churn, as far as upgrades go on your miners, how are you guys thinking about it? What are you guys thinking about kind of expanding to next? In terms of just kind of mining plants and locations, and then maybe infrastructure-wise as well?
Yeah, fantastic question. So we currently have two separate sites, one in Nebraska that's an air mine, and then we have a site down in Texas that's a 2 megawatt immersion setup. We actually have what's really, really cool about our immersion setup is we have the world's most energy dense immersion setup. We are pulling more energy per square foot than any miner in the world, which is pretty freaking amazing and cool for, like, an ordinal project to be part of. Good buddy of mine is the designer and, like, lead behind that, and they were nice enough to let us come in and to mine and to basically co-create a showroom for, like, what the latest and greatest in mining is. And the cool part about these tubs is they're rig agnostic. So you can throw whatever that is, they're future proof, into them. so much so that we could actually get into AI in the future if we wanted. We can run AI in these immersion tubs successfully and convert it quite easily. So we're constantly like looking forward into multiple plays. On-chip cooling, immersion cooling is the future. I think this is probably the last cycle that this is the last cycle that we're going to play around with air, because you could just get so much more hash rate per plug. And so to your question about the rigs and like the generations of them, we have like basically I'm going to go through my channels when we're getting into a frothy market. If we see these rigs go 5-6x, I'm going to go field some offers for the fleets, and then take it to the community and say, hey, we could sell it for this or that. Do you guys want to do it? And if we have a majority vote, then we're just going to go ahead and flip the fleets. And the intention is to get, a few multiples on it while mining the entire way up. We could stable out there because it happens literally every cycle. As long as we can get somewhere within like the top half of this bull run and sell, it's going to come back down. And again, these rigs go up and down with the price of Bitcoin itself. So when these things come back down and bottom out, we want to be in a position of strength with like USDCs stabled up and just be able to go jump in and see what the next latest and greatest in equipment is. And we have the rack space now, and we have the tubs. We can literally, boom, switch at a moment's notice.
So you're saying air mining is, as far as you see it, it's dead because the immersion has become so much more efficient, basically? The added cost of building out immersion is worth it now?
Hey, and I'll tell you, we actually got what's crazy. Hey, shout out Rosso if y'all ever want to actually look at like really, really, really good immersion equipment. That is crazy. It was cheaper for us to build this immersion setup than it was for us to go do it air. Like They have created a very, very amazing solution. It's just big brain. Rick Margerison's their designer. He's the guy who actually writes he's a part of the Open Compute project. So if you are doing immersion for Facebook, Google, Alibaba, you name it, he wrote the standards for their data centers. And so he designed this tub that we are now running out of. It was the first one that they've dropped. And it's night and day different. Like, we don't need operators. Those rigs do not go down. Those rigs do not need repairs. Like, we can just sit them in that dielectric fluid and just turn them on and let them run. Literally, I've seen some that have been running for 7 years, no problem. And they were literally just testing how long it could go. And it had grit and all kinds of like just environmental stuff in the oil, and they're still humming. So it makes it so your operational expenses are so much lower, and you can completely control the environment that your machines are in when you're talking about it being completely enclosed in liquid, because all you got to do is control your flow rate at that point. So the longevity of the machines, you can push them harder should you choose to do so. It's just a superior technology. And this is the first cycle where we've successfully seen the price come down to where you can make that decision now. Then it just becomes like it's a different infrastructure. It's a completely different play altogether, but it's without a doubt the future. Like, it's just for high density computing of any sort.
Very interesting.
If you guys want to pick at the setups, I pin it to the top. The immersion mining in Texas, and also scroll a little. There's all the Hashlings information is pinned to the top, but that's just a calculator in the dashboard. But you'll find two videos. One is the immersion, and the other one is Nebraska air mining.
So here, I have it pulled up here. Yeah, we could dive into some of the degeneracy with the VP of Hashlings degeneracy. Take us through the calculator. How does this show work? I have it pulled up here on the live stream.
I'll let ASICs do that. That's basically a custom calculator, so people can see and know how much they're making. This is based on the previous block, right? Like, based on where we are right now, and you just pick whatever. You can pick the 120, Heads 120, for example. That's the basic model, the first one. Those are currently paying, 164, and those are making 180 a month in BTC. So you can go through all the different tools we have and see how much they're making at the moment.
It's literally this block, like current transaction fees, current Bitcoin price. So like this thing moves wildly. It could, like, on the next block, if we get a spike in transaction fees, go to 250. So we're working on a new calculator that we're going to be dropping that shows historic and then just potential. like moving forward. So it's good. Like one of the things that we've done, and you can see here, Phantom, if you're listening, shout out. He's one of our holders who built this for us. Lean, mean startup. Like we've just need certain things, and our holders have stepped up and just built stuff for us. So this is one of those tools. We're going to be integrating a newer version of this into the new website and all of that other, like, Web3 facing and ordinal facing stuff. But as of right now, a lot of our assets, like you're seeing here, are a bit disjointed and hosted here, hosted there. So this is bringing it all together. We're getting it fine tuned so we can have like some historic perspective and forward looking facing. But yeah, this is it. And what's cool and what's noteworthy here is, I'm sure you guys have heard it, post-halving. This is where most miners are getting wrecked. They're turning off. They're just, this could be bad for like a lot of miners who have been around with older generation equipment. And you notice when we have dips in network difficulty, that's miners turning off. You can see here, like we're above, like we're okay. Like we're making profit. They're leaner at the moment, but it's fantastic. Like for us to be this healthy at this point in the cycle means that things should be pretty juicy come a few months from now. So
let's say I bought one of these. I need a hashling first, and then I can pair it with one of these. So I buy one. Okay, I buy this one for $6,000 or whatever. Pair it with a hashling. So that's $6,000. Do you guys then? The machine's already there. This is just paying for the electricity, basically, right?
So it's like if you go get it off Magic Eden, it's already running. Now, what we do is we'll do pre-sales to our community where it's lower than the prices you see on Magic Eden. And then we got to go put that, like, so we take that, put a power deposit down. We go then order the rigs and so on and so forth. So we thought it was going to be about typically like a 3-week delay, but we've been finding it's about 6 weeks, from when we put out new picks that the community purchases to when we're able to get them in from China, get them online, all of that good stuff. Yeah.
So here on the hashlords.forsale.app where it says create your card, anybody could do this right now, and it'll be and it'll come with a miner based off of the traits that you choose, and it'll be included in the Hashlings collection. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's you have to be whitelisted. There's 250 total, right? And I think we're up to like 200, low 200s right now. So there's only 40 something remaining. And so for those in our community who hold what is called your coat of arms, they're able to redeem those for a whitelist that they can then go mint these. And so if you see at the bottom, you can choose which sats you're minting on, and so on and so forth. So it's been a pretty fun experience with those.
And what's the cost for something like this? We did look at the calculator, which I'll pull back here. You could see all these different traits. Some of them say, right, that it produces, this one says 2,700 in USD value per month. Is that equated into making or inscribing one of your own lords?
No, so that's completely independent. So like the lords is like its own experience. We didn't charge for this. This was just something else that we did. Sorry, give me 1 second.
In the meantime, if you can pull up the picture I pinned to the top, which with the Hashling overview, we can give you the rundown, and you'll have a better understanding of how the ecosystem looks and what are the lords and the upcoming kings and all that.
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now. I'm on my desktop, so I can't enter it I can't go into the spaces. Did you put it in the replies?
Yeah.
All right, let me look for it.
Oh, you're looking at the yeah, that's cool. There you go.
Oh, those are the mining setups that we were talking about. That's Texas right there.
Yeah, that's our immersion setup. Like the dielectric fluid came out more pink for ours. We were going for orange, the Bitcoin orange. So better luck next time on the color.
Are you in like that facility? Do you have like a certain number of those are your racks basically, and then you're
all of
sharing
them? Those are all hashlings.
Oh, so that facility is 100% yours. That's not you don't share facility with other people. Okay, interesting.
Nope, everything in that everything under that roof is ours, and then everything in those boxes that you're going in are ours as well.
Is this the one you're talking about, Bongo? This post?
No, that's the payment that we received yesterday.
Yeah, I'm looking for your post in the replies.
I can redo it.
Yeah, can you repost it? I can't because I'm on my desktop, so I can't enter the spaces. Yeah, Yeah, it's very, very fascinating. So here I can also pull up. This was the payment that you sent me. As you could see, there's
Yeah, so that's our week.
literally,
Yeah.
there's literally like thousands right here, maybe hundreds. I can't really tell.
It's 283 maybe, give or take a couple. Yeah, that's a beautiful flow chart. Every week we love when this comes in because that's exclusively us, and that's the you can see on the left hand side of that's that fat chunk of Bitcoin that's coming in, that 0.87 or whatever, 0.876, and all of it goes out. All of it's going to our holders. Like it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Since you're using, sorry, Jake, since you're using a pool, so you're not fighting for any sort of rare stats or anything like that because you're using the pool, right?
Yep.
Do they funnel out, just for my own information? Do those pools they basically they're on that game now where they filter out?
They've been on that game.
All the regular.
As soon as there was a marketplace and a premium on certain sats, they said all of them are ours. So they come any sat worth value.
Savages, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
so Bongo, this is what you're talking about, right?
Yes, that's the basic overview of the Hashling ecosystem. I don't know if you're going to be able to zoom in on that.
Can't zoom in right now. This is the best one we get right now.
This is the way that we have things set up currently, semi-intentional, is like you got to piece it together a little bit. Like there's a lot of parts here, but that's really what all these assets and stuff that we're currently working on that we'll be releasing that will really clarify everything.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks good. I mean, honestly, Adam and I and Emblem Vault's gone through a similar position where once you create a project and you're a small team, how many people are on the Hashlings team? Is it just you two?
No. There's 8, maybe 8. Like if we're talking like community and everything else.
Yeah, right. And so when you're early and you have a small team, especially for something that also has a kind of physical component to it, you have the community come in and build out some of your infrastructure for you. And then eventually years later, when you have a strong team, then you bring it all back in house. But that was the same thing that when Adam and I joined Emblem Vault, there was so many different things that were all built by the community. It takes a while to really build it back. It helps in the beginning. It makes them a little messy towards the end when you try to formalize the entire process.
It does, right? And so like we could only afford so much devs, Web3 dev, like good ordinal devs and Web3 devs are hella expensive, by the way. So like when we're paying them, like trying to pay them for like the mining software that we're like custom building and stuff. And then luckily we're able to have our community step up and get all these necessary tools and stuff, but it's made it like piecemeal, right? And like there's no universal branding and like so on and so forth. So that's what we're currently consolidating, but that's an undertaking in and of itself, right? Like to bring it all down, like together, rebrand, put it together in like a very easy to understand way. Cause I think that's been probably one of the biggest hurdles is like bringing this into like a one-liner that people can like really understand.
I was looking at that doc. That's not exactly a one-liner, bro. You put this thing together, man. I'm like, what on earth is this? This is a pretty complicated ecosystem right here.
That has been our biggest hurdle. So this is this next chapter that we're on. That's what we're looking to simplify. So
my recommendation would be to just keep taking hacks at it. Eventually, like we've probably shuffled through, I kid you not, probably 20 different phrases so far to try to find the one that hits.
I think that's exactly what we're just like, one's going to end up sticking and then that'll be our thing, right? So
I mean, Jake is right. You guys are actually a real world asset company. So you should lean into that. RWAs, I mean, are coming in as like something semi-hot this cycle. And I think that certain teams are kind of pushing this envelope for, being, we won't use the term shareholder because it's stupid and we can't use that term, but, a crypto shareholder where you own certain things that provide you, this stream of income. Right. And so, I think that's really, you guys have already built it. Right. So it's just a matter of framing it in ways that's exciting for people. And, I think it's pretty cool. I know Bongo gets a little bit of hate on the timeline for it. I've seen him in who's it? Bunzy putting on Bongo out there. But it's obviously you guys have stuff going on. It's not like you just took a bunch of money and it's like a promise of, or you're you're fake mining, not actually doing anything, just rewarding with some scammy token. This is like you guys actually have physical infrastructure. There's something about that.
It's blocked. We are constantly making Bitcoin. You can't deny it. You can just see it in the blockchain. It's there.
And it's like anyone who's like tried to throw shade or deny, like there's been multiple posts where I'll just like start tagging like Charlie Spears can vouch every step of the way, but like even the CEOs of like Blockware Solutions, like a lot of the big miners, I'm like, could you just chime in on this fool real quick, like just on Twitter, just so like just any FUD or stupidity or like y'all aren't profitable. I'm like, you don't know how math works or like energy because like we've never not been, but okay, guy.
You'd figure from the Bitcoiners, you'd get actually like some props for like actually running Bitcoin mining rigs. Like this is like you're supporting the entire, blockchain.
The real ones we do. The real ones we do. Like we get, I mean, the real ones in the space know us, right? Like we got, I think it was second most allocation for quantum cats. We got a fat allocation for OMBs. Like the real ones in the space know, like in the real OG Bitcoiners know, like we get taken care of by the guys who are like really building Bitcoin.
Yeah, because you know how important miners are, right? The system doesn't work without them.
Yeah, it matters. Yeah, you also now it matters more than ever because like there's certain pools censoring what goes through and ordinals, right, and runes, and so the only way that we can prevent ourselves from ever doing that is like we need hash rate and horsepower to have a say to actually be able to influence Bitcoin and to push things forward. We as a community, and this is something that I've really started pushing for, is we have partner projects that we're getting involved in mining and so on and so forth, because it makes a lot of sense for projects to take their mint funds, or at least a portion of it, and allocate that towards mining. So you have recurring revenue. So you have something dependable and sustainable, because we don't have the luxury of royalties. But this is a fantastic way to play your part as a Bitcoiner, decentralizing and securing the network, doing all that good stuff, but also being able to find that consistency. So yeah, it's really interesting. You get like some people who just want to throw shade, but it's always just the most ignorant people who are like, it's only out of ignorance, because you can't not be. And then like on the other side, you get the OGs who've been in the game, they're building their own thing, and they're like, yo, keep it up, keep doing what you're doing, we got you. And it's just keep, nod and keep going.
Well, one question for me, and then I'll throw it to Chris. And this is because I'm involved with Bell's Coin, and we're talking, Bitmain. I just went up to the Bitmain meetup in Austin and this sort of stuff. They invited me to Vegas, but I'm not going to go. But and so I'm wondering about is Bitcoin mining like this thing where you, as a expert in Bitcoin mining, you don't mess around at all with like Litecoin, Dogecoin mining, because it's just a whole nother ball of wax that you would have to learn like a whole nother skill set. Is it that differentiated between the two?
No, I could swap them. I could go start swapping boxes if I wanted to. And it is more profitable to mine altcoins. I just I have it burned into my mind. Like I've seen networks go from proof of work to proof of stake and see all of that money burned. No. I mean, that's a colossal loss. If you want to see something interesting, go check out Bitmain's site and go check out their Caspa miners, for instance. I think one of them right now is maybe $45,000 a box per. And so like that's a very, very, very large risk to take for a new network that who knows, like, are they married to this whole proof of work thing? What if they're like, they get really woke on chain and they go, no, it's burning the oceans, we need to go ahead and switch over to proof of stake, like whatever that case may be. So I literally, it burns in my image all the time, seeing the ETH rigs sit on the office desk. And we were just like literally saying like, these are literally useless now. Like this is just whatever. Like this is crazy that they made that switch. So for me, it's just Bitcoin all the way. Like I'm hella bullish on Bitcoin in the long term. I'm Bitcoin through and through, just personally. And I think it's philosophically, I do think it's the future global reserve currency, and it's just the answer to all of this madness in the world right now. And so just getting people as much exposure to that as humanly possible, and decreasing any potentially like self-inflicted risks, I guess, because man, dude, like it's attractive. Some of those boxes right now, I think like from Bitmain are even making as much as a couple hundred a day from on these other alt chains, but those charts go crazy. Like here today, gone tomorrow type deal.
Chris, you guys.
Yeah.
I love it, man. You guys are killing it. You came on here super strong. Love to dive in and kind of really spotlight you guys in a unique kind of way that I think the industry hasn't really caught up to yet. In terms of just like the broader base of miners, I think Bitcoin on miners' balance sheet is like the lowest point that it's hit in a long time. Why are you guys able to stay so stable while it seems maybe so many other miners are kind of having issues? Was there too much bloat in their kind of supply chain or infrastructure, or maybe what are some benefits that you guys might see that they're not able to keep up with at the moment?
They're bloated. Their cost to mine Bitcoin is insane. Go look at like Riot. If you look at some of the like just the operational costs of Riot and like the insane tens of millions of dollars in bonuses and like it's just asinine. Like these guys are not in it for profitability. They're not in it to like maximize how much Bitcoin they can get. They're in it to just alter their stock price as much as they can. So I think that it's like you get to a certain level. Once you go public, I don't know if you could really be outside of like Michael Saylor. I don't think you could do the Bitcoin thing anymore. You got to really worry about like just that next quarter and hitting those numbers. And so I think they start with good intentions, but there's been some wild stories coming out of the publicly traded miners as far as just hooking up homies for certain infrastructure deals that didn't belong to, which set the project back by like 100 megawatts for half of a year. And the opportunity cost in Bitcoin's colossal. Every 10 minutes that you're not mining is a block you missed. And that's Bitcoin that appreciates. Like you're trading filthy fiat for appreciating Bitcoin, right? And at a time, especially over the last year or so, when this has been the time to like posture and get ready and so on and so forth, just making some really interesting decisions that, somewhat self-serving for some and different for others. But the one thing I got to say, I haven't dove much into CleanSpark, but we have a lot of mutual friends that are on the teams there. And I've heard great things about them. So I think that they actually probably have lowest cost of production. If I remember correctly, someone would have to fact check me on that. But I have heard really, really good things over there. But some of the older guys, they've been taking a couple of lumps.
How do miners view and it's just, I mean, now that I've been exposed to miners, working with Bitmain and the pools with Bell's Coin and stuff, and I realized this is literally the most cutthroat business like on the planet. Like this is savage, right?
Yes.
So dude, if you've been around a few years, like congrats, man, because it's like it's how brutal it is. But
a couple years ago.
It's like how do you view as miners? Like give me the overview of the way miners look at holding the tokens long term. I mean, is there any thought to that, or it's just like no, we get out immediately? We how do they look at that?
Small, medium-sized guys like myself, we're definitely the small guy. But I'd say small to medium guys that are a bit bigger than ourselves, maybe 10 megawatts, 20, like whatever they're able to do on their own. Those are the guys that are typically going to be in it to acquire Bitcoin. Charlie Spears. He's in it to get Bitcoin. Those types of guys. As you get bigger, it's more suits and more guys that just see the opportunity for money and like they're in it for whether it's dollar or Bitcoin. And I think it's philosophically you're going to see the Bitcoin first and Bitcoin centric miners on the smaller side. And then as it gets bigger, I think it's just part of the nature of the beast when you are talking, because those are hundreds of millions of dollars. Like that just brings in a different person altogether, and institutional investors that definitely don't carry the Bitcoin philosophy. And it's really interesting. And that's part of what I want to do is just help decentralize the network. We're helping get it decentralized to I think there's 283 of us mining within our project currently, but the more that we can decentralize it and get it to the individuals, the better. Just because those same guys that are suits and don't care about Bitcoin have say over a lot of the network because they got a lot of that horsepower there too. So it's really interesting seeing those two sides. The one thing I'll say is you got to be extremely well versed on the energy side if you really want to do this at scale of any sort, because that's the language you're going to be talking at these dinners and everything else. Is you really got to know what you're looking for, what to look out for, and so on and so forth. So it's really interesting that I went in it because number go up technology. That's really why I was just like, yeah, I want to see how Bitcoin's made. It makes people rich. And then got in and just realized like how sophisticated, complicated, and like just beautiful process it is. It's almost like some sort of and Zod or artist maybe realize this is like this is like modern alchemy to a degree, where you're taking electricity and turning it into this beautiful like world's hardest currency that we've seen. And so it's I have to call, like when I'm having serious conversations about scaling with a lot of these guys, I can't come in with like the laser eyes on. I got to come in and be like, yes, let's talk energy production and the wind farm up the road, so it's fun.
So I got one final question. I guess maybe this is even more catered to Bongo because he's the degenerate here. What are some of the future plans here?
We're gonna make a quick pause.
It says it right under your name.
Degeneracy. Wait, who's the president of degeneracy? If you're the vice president,
that's what I'm saying. Mr. Founder here is also the president. Yeah, I might.
Now, just tell me what are the plans? Is there any plans for like future gamification, right? Ponzi-nomics, all these things that the degens like to get people to trade, pumpamentals. Is there any plans for any of this, integrating any of this stuff into Hashlings?
There is, and ideally, every Hashling get BTC. I think that's what we're aiming for. In a Hashling gets you BTC, allows you to get BTC or participate in opportunities to get Bitcoin. And I don't know if ASICs want to give you guys more details on that, but yeah.
The holy grail
give us some alpha. We've made it an hour and a half in. Give some people some alpha.
Yeah, I think the thing is the holy grail for these projects is to give some sort of like reliable, what's another term for passive income?
You don't want to say ROI, but
I don't know what the proper term is.
I give my USA rant. It's ridiculous. Why can't we reward people in crypto? Like, why? It's so stupid.
Why call it recurring rewards?
Why can't I buy your NFT? It pays for you to buy mining equipment, and then I earn a reward on that. Why is that illegal? It's so stupid.
Got to jump through so many hoops. Like, I don't even know. Like, I want to say, yes, of course, in Q4, we're about to roll this, that, and the other out. But I'm like trying to just sit here and play verbal gymnastics to try to make sure I'm not going to get Gary Gensler kicking our door down, even though we've gone out of our way to be legally compliant. But yeah, the answer is we 100% have gamification coming. As a mining company, it does make a lot of sense for us to be able to find a way to get steady Bitcoin production into the hands of holders through innovative ways. And that is what we're currently cooking on right now. And I've told my community this 1,000 times. They know it. They're probably rolling their eyes when I say it, but like this is not a project that can be measured in days, weeks, or months, or even years, really, because we're aiming for like multiple cycles, and we're playing this 4-year cycle to 4-year cycle to 4-year cycle because it's very cyclical and it works until it doesn't. And so like it's worked up to this point. We're going to keep playing it, and we are building. The games are coming. Yes, there's a game. There's a war coming. Actually, Hashlings are going to war. If you saw some of those, there's some picks, but there's also some weapons. And so there might be a bad guy or group of bad guys coming. And for participating in this event that will go on daily, there may or may not be some sats to be had for those who are within that ecosystem.
Battle against the maxis.
Yes, sir.
Chris, a question?
Yeah, what a time. As far as just kind of, we touched on how The earlier stage Bitcoin miners were just more kind of single use, not really temperature controlled. Now we're going into a world of kind of multifaceted with big competition for data miners for kind of AI. You touched on maybe they would be kind of multi-use. As kind of Bitcoin mining kind of gears up and becomes way more competitive and less profitable for a lot of people, what does that mean for like the Bitcoin network in terms that now a lot of these kind of high profile, large infrastructure miners can kind of just switch gears and probably, as their equipment kind of evolves a little bit further, kind of just maybe make the full pivot to AI. How does that kind of translate into the future security profile of the Bitcoin network? What do you think?
Well, I think the economic incentives will always be there, just because I do believe like Bitcoin over infinity, and that we're going to see it just continually just go up and to the right. So you'll see people. I think you're going to see a branch. The future that I see in mining, I think eventually, just because they're so slow moving, we might have another cycle or two to be able to squeeze out. But you're going to see the energy companies, the power producers, your nuclear power plants, your wind farms, and so on and so forth. It makes a whole lot of sense for them to not sell us the power that we can then leverage to make many multiples on through mining. They can just co-locate, set up a Bitcoin mine right next to the power plant, for instance, the nuclear power plant, and use that as a energy sink. Anytime that they're not like being able to sell everything to the open market, spend the rest of that power mining Bitcoin, and then say like there's times where 5 o'clock comes, everyone's turning on their AC, power down the mine, send that energy back out where people are paying higher rates for it, and then bring it back to the mine once it cools off at night. And I think you're going to see energy producers just consolidate the industry even more into where these guys are just mining Goliaths, because this enables them to have flexible loads. They can then have any energy that they produce no longer gets wasted. They're able to just go ahead and shift it over to the mine, run that at full speed until everyone in their vicinity or that region needs the energy, and they can just go back and forth and never have any wasted energy. And the cost of production when you're one of those producers, which you're talking, I mean, insanely low. So these guys would be forever profitable. It just does not make any financial sense for them to not. And you're starting to see some of these players start to do that. If you look at like guys like TerraWolf, some of these guys out on the East Coast, you're starting to see that happen. Once word continues to get out of like how wildly profitable it's got to be for these guys. I mean, if you own a nuke, your power cost, it's, I don't know, 1 cent, something like that. That means like it doesn't matter what Bitcoin go up, down, left, right, like you're forever profitable. So
because that power would have just gone to zero anyway. You're not selling it, right? It's like it would have been wasted power. It's a zero.
Yeah. Touche. Yeah, exactly.
It's infinity more, right?
Yeah, infinity more. Exactly. That's a fantastic way of putting it. And so I think that's the way that we'll see the industry grow. And it's just going to get more and more expensive as we go because of computational density, and it's the competitive nature of this environment. And that's like really what makes it so hard, is what makes it so special. Bitcoin every 4 years sheds its new skin at the halving. All of us inefficient miners, whoever that may be, you're going to have to power down, and that's going to open up for new guys with better equipment and lower energy costs to step in. And so it's going to be a really interesting evolution to see. And I have listened to some really cool miners that are trying to figure out ways to get everyday people mining, such as like being able to have very, very small ASICs within your car that can be ran off the heat produced from brakes and whatnot, or different things like appliances. That's the word I'm looking for. Appliances at home. Capturing waste in every capacity. And that's one of the fantastic things that like Bitcoin mining is doing, is that this is vaulting forward the adoption of renewable technology. Like for us, like for instance, I'm a baseload maxi. I think like we should be producing energy, and that we're only going to be expanding how much energy that we're going to take as a species. We're only become more energy dense as we go, right? So I don't like where my energy comes from personally. I don't necessarily care because I see like I'm pro all of it, nuke and everything. But I'll tell you, my eyes are always open for a good hydro opportunity, an amazing solar opportunity, a great wind opportunity. Because that's your lowest cost energy. So it doesn't matter like what our feelings are. We're just going to go to the lowest cost, which is renewable. And that is speeding up adoption and providing new ways for these power producers to be able to monetize these different means of energy production. So like, there's a lot of stranded energy in the middle of the United States from solar fields and wind farms that don't get used. And that just provides new ways to do it. So it's just beautiful that Bitcoin, through its incentive structure and just all the economic incentives that are baked in, that people are exploring new ways to capture energy and finding waste. And like one of the things that I've seen is waste heat, for instance, funneled outside of the mine and put into a greenhouse and used to grow different sorts of vegetation and crops, and like no waste anything. This really is, I know people want to act like we're boiling the oceans and everything, but it's pushing forward these new forms of like a zero waste world. Like we can monetize every form of waste. And I don't know of another industry that is constantly like, just finding normal miners like me, came in from fitness, became obsessed with the electricity part, and now I'm loving the waste part. And how can we take our waste heat and turn that into hashling hash, maybe grow weed outside the farm or whatever the case may be. But there's always like ways to see how can we leverage this to just increase profitability and to just be closer to zero waste. And so it's really a brilliant thing that's unfolding, but these things take time. Like this thing takes years and years for these deals to get done, and it become commonplace.
Well, I think you need to hit up Bill Gates with his new nuclear power plant, so you could get in on some mining action there.
Oh, he's out in Wyoming. Did this just get announced
Today? Yeah.
This is something that most AI players are doing now. They're going to be building nuke stations with data centers, nuclear plants with data centers. That's going to be their play.
Yeah, so he announces today. I mean, Bill Gates has been acquiring so much farmland and land over the last, I think, decade or two. So he just announced that today. I thought it was just kind of funny because you mentioned nuclear plants.
That's a big one. Like I'm just glad to see more nukes coming online, to be honest with you. Like we need that, like is for just national security.
100%. I remember, so when I first got into crypto, there was a famous mining video of this home miner who lived in Russia, or I think Serbia, who was warming his entire house with Bitcoin miners that were like built underneath the floorboards, and it was pushing up. And I remember that was like a super popular video on Reddit back in the day. We have
a holder of ours who's heating his pool through mining.
Absolute insane. Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up here, guys. I really appreciate you for coming on. Incredible conversation. I do think maybe we should get some of these hashlings inside of an Emblem vault and start selling them on the ETH L2s and Solana here in the future. Because that would
be wild.
Yeah, you sell the miner and the profits together as one token, right? So that's this is when RSIC had first popped up. A lot of the community had reached out to us because they're like, "Hey, we want to sell these points and the RSIC together as one token." So maybe we'll have a conversation about that here in the future. Because if you can distribute these, and it's basically just I guess leverage. I don't even know it's leverage, but I guess just like a tokenized miner. It's easy to purchase once you get that across all the chains. So we'll talk about that. That'd be fun. I was thinking of that as we were sitting here having this conversation.
Would love to cook, man. Let me know. That sounds really, really cool.
Cook. Adam, any final questions or remarks?
No, I love it, man. It's so interesting to learn more about mining. Like I have, just an infinite amount of knowledge needed, right? It's like you don't realize how much it takes. So it was awesome to speak and get a lot more info, man. So good stuff, man. And when you're ready, come over to Dogecoin, Litecoin, and Bellscoin, bro.
There we go.
We need good people over here. Are you going to be in Vegas for the?
Some Doge
Are you be in Vegas for the Bitmain thing?
I don't think so. I think the thing I'll be at is Nashville. I think that's going to be the next thing.
We'll see you in Nashville then for sure.
Oh, let's go, man. Good. Hey, well, appreciate you, Adam and Jake and Chris. You guys, this has been absolutely awesome, man. So thank you guys for having us, and would love to reconnect here soon.
Yeah, we definitely will. Chris, any final comments, questions?
Yeah, let's get Bongo that promotion to president of degeneracy. Maybe A6 takes over chairman. Let's just keep it going. Bongo's been doing great work, so let's keep it pushing, boys. No, I love it. Great conversation. It was great to chat.
Awesome, man. Bongo just got his first promotion.
There we go. There we go. Absolute great conversation. For those that joined throughout this conversation, Adam, myself, and Chris, who work at Emblem Vault, the leading cross-chain NFT protocol in the industry with over 100 million in TVV. We host this show Tuesday through Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Tomorrow we will be discussing our market conversation, and on Thursday we're having the My Doge CTO coming on to talk about Doginals. We believe that's his first public conversation about Doginals, so that should be a very fun one. Make sure everyone here, please follow the Emblem Vault account. We have a lot of things coming this month, including a marketplace that we've been building for almost a year now at this point. So lots of fun stuff as we move into this cross-chain future. Appreciate everyone. Make sure you also follow Bongo and ASIC and Hashlings for this awesome conversation. Pick up some miners, get some passive rewards, as we say. And stay safe. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, be safe.